All right, guys, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Gene,
And I'm Emanuela.
and on today's episode, we'll be talking about what will we be talking about today?
Well, we'll be talking about the question we get asked the most is
Okay,
like,
okay,
how did you get started in real estate? How did you get to where you guys are now, where now you're doing new construction builds?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
You want me to go first, or you want to lead?
Well, I guess I can start us off with our real estate journey.
Okay.
Um, so, in terms of real estate, we started a while back in 2018. So, we had a condo
Mm-hmm.
and we went to an HOA meeting, and they told us that they were going to start limiting the amount of renters in our community
Mm,
for FHA purposes. So when people come to purchase in the community, they'll have a good ratio of homeowners versus renters. And they were going to try to pass this new type of bylaw to now have people have to apply to become a renter in the community. And we was like, well, at least I was like, oh no. I didn't want to get caught up and not have the opportunity to rent our condo. So I was like, at the time, my sister got a townhouse. So I was like, bae, I'm renting our condo. um,
exciting.
and so he was gracious enough to just go with my idea. He no pushback or nothing at all. So we ended up staying with my sister, like at the beginning of or mid 2018. Was able to rent out our place with no problem. I did it all by myself. I just used Zillow and apartments.com. I did background checks through the Zillow application platform. I was able to get a rental agreement from one of your peers in General Assembly. So, one of his peers in General Assembly, she was renting like they had like an extra piece of their home in the back that was like separated from the home.
Oh, the mother-in-law suite.
Yeah, they had a mother-in-law suite, and they was telling us how they rent that out occasionally or use it for Airbnb. And they had a leasing agreement, and they
Mm,
were gracious enough to share that with me. So I just stuck to my criteria in terms of how much income they needed to have. They had to have two times the amount of the monthly rent, no evictions, no criminal history, and so I just stuck to my guns on what I wanted our renter to be. No pets, because I didn't want to deal with any type of cleanup once people moved out or damaged. So yeah, that process managed it for a while until maybe like a year or two ago. And so that was our first introduction to real estate. That was our first rental property, and it just happened through a whim.
yeah.
And then from there, we got interested in wholesaling and driving for dollars and, trying to find deals and opportunities in the metro Atlanta area. And yeah, that's pretty much how that whole real estate journey started for us. And then we got our next property,
Yeah.
um, our next rental property. But how
Yeah.
did we start new construction bills though? That's more. I think you can give a real good story behind that.
Okay. So I think that journey started once we got, well, I guess initiated somewhat when we bought
Mm-hmm.
the second property.
Yeah.
When we bought the second property, I was like, whoa, it took a lot of effort to get
Yeah.
this one property. And by effort,
Right.
I meant capital.
Mm-hmm.
And for some odd reason, I felt like I wasn't going to be able to, or we weren't going to be able to accrue a lot of rental properties by
Yeah.
just saving up one per year because typically, you have to put 20% down.
Right.
So I started scouring the internet trying to figure out of creative ways of how we can increase our capital
Mm-hmm.
without having to work 17 jobs.
Right.
So I stumbled upon ways of leveraging credit cards to acquire
Mm-hmm.
land, to acquire
Mm-hmm.
properties, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the ticket. So I started learning how to buy like underwrite properties,
Mm-hmm.
and I started learning about business credit, and I started like just stacking business credit cards, learning
Mm-hmm.
about business loans and all that. And then once I got to a certain number, I was talking to a colleague I said, "Hey, I'm ready to buy our first rental property."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "No, don't do rental properties. Do new construction." I was like, "We haven't even rehabbed or flipped one home. That doesn't make sense." He said, "Come to a boot camp. I'll attend this class." And I attended it. It was like a 2 day course. I came on the
Mm-hmm.
second day of the 2 day. And from that moment, they answered three of my questions and then everything clicked.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute it clicked, I immediately joined the new construction community slash boot camp. I got into, I dove straight into their curriculum. And next thing you know, as soon as I joined the community, I was in there very hungry. I was like, hey, I need a deal, I need a deal, I need a deal. And I got into my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ended up getting into our first new construction.
All she
And
wrote.
that's all she wrote.
Question for you. Do
Mm.
you remember what those three questions were that you needed them to answer to kind of get you wrap your mind around doing new construction builds?
Oh, the one of the questions was, where does the rest of the money come from? Because the amount of money that I had in terms of business funding wasn't enough
Right.
to build a whole home.
Right.
So once they introduced us to or explained what private money was and what
Mm.
hard money was
Mm-hmm.
and what a new construction loan was, I was like, oh, okay. So then what the other two questions were, so what was the other question? Oh, how to underwrite the deal, of
Mm-hmm.
course. And then the last piece was, oh, did the money have to be my money?
Mm-hmm.
So once they answered those questions, so when the answer to that question was no. It could be other people's money
Right.
as long as it was in your account.
Right.
Then you can use that to buy
Right.
said property. And at that point, I knew I could move business credit into my bank account.
Right.
So once it hit my bank account, it's technically mine on paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can wire my money to escrow to buy the land.
Right.
And then once I understood that most construction lenders were gonna provide 85% of the purchase price or
Mm-hmm.
cost of the rehab, I was like, oh, it's up now. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was it.
I feel like I see some similarities in both of the ways we've entered like rental properties
Mm-hmm.
and new constructions. I feel like it all boils down to taking action on opportunity.
That's a bar.
Yeah, because when it came to the new rentals, the opportunity was
Thrown in front of us.
thrown in front of us or forced in front of us, and but we didn't let things happen to us.
Right.
We just took initiative and was like, oh, we rent it out.
Facts.
Never did long term rentals before. Never
Mm.
had a tenant before, and we just Googled, created a process. Gene believed in me because he didn't really ask that many questions. So that led me to believe in you when you wanted to go down this new construction build because you had confidence in enough in me to know that I would do my due diligence to make sure we were successful. And so I was like, well, I can at least return the favor, even though yours required a little bit more capital.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thank you for believing in
No,
it.
no problem, no
It
problem.
definitely required a lot more capital than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, not more so just the capital, more so of the understanding of every phase of new construction. It's a little bit different from buying a rental property, right?
Right,
So from a rental side, of course, you got to underwrite the deal, make sure it makes sense, make sure that you are in the area where
right.
it produces enough rental income to
Correct.
take care of all the expenses, as well
Correct.
as give you a net profit that's suitable
Yeah,
to feed you, as well as cover all the expenses, if that makes
exactly.
sense. So,
Exactly.
whereas new construction, you need a lot of capital to get in. You
Yeah.
need capital to
Stay in.
stay in, and then you need capital to exit because there's still some things that have to happen towards
Yeah.
the end, like marketing, warranties,
Right.
commissions, and all
Yeah.
that. So, but it makes sense. The
Yeah.
prop, the risk versus the reward is so high.
Mm-hmm.
I'm addicted now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how we entered real estate. It's really getting an opportunity and executing. And I think through our action, And through our tenacity, we kind of uh, I can say like gravitated the energy around us to
Hmm.
get the motion
Yeah.
that we needed to keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's like once people saw what we were doing and stuff just started to just come to us, and so main thing is to take action. Of course, educate yourself as well because
But of
we
course.
did that. Bigger Pockets was a lot of my education earlier on when it came to rentals. And so we still educate ourselves, especially when it comes to the new construction builds, because we pride ourselves on providing quality,
For sure.
trying to be innovative, like using the latest technology and tool and materials to provide the best product. So
For sure.
that is our journey in real estate.
Yeah. Oh, and before we go,
Mhm.
find a mentor.
Oh yeah,
A
yeah,
mentor will expedite your learning,
yeah.
expedite your success,
Hmm.
and expedite you to the learning process that you need to be successful in this
Yeah.
real estate game. So,
Hmm. That's a good
but
tip.
that's how we got here.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good tidbit. Well, thank y'all for listening. Comment, let us know if there's any other questions or more details you want to hear about our journey. That was a kind of high level view just to give
yeah,
you guys a good synopsis, but comment, let us know if you want to hear more from us.
for sure.
All right. Bye,
Have a
y'all.
great one. Night.